It's time for me to quit YouTube, or at least attempt quitting to YouTube yet again. I've tried many times over the years, but I think it's time for me to give a real honest shot at it again. And maybe by holding myself accountable to you guys, I can actually achieve that. And no, I'm not talking about quitting YouTube in terms of making videos, but I am talking about in terms of my amount of watching and consuming videos, because at this point, it's served purely as a method of entertainment and distraction and procrastination. There's nothing about my YouTube consumption that's helping me achieve the goals that I want to achieve. And I actually want to make more videos. And I think by not watching so many YouTube videos, I'll actually be able to make more content, something that I really enjoy doing. I find a lot more value and a much more rewarding feeling associated with it. And so that's one of my big goals. I'm no stranger to this. I've done this many times. You know, I have this wallpaper, which I've had for a couple of years now. It's like, Conan, no more Reddit, no more YouTube, achieve your goals. At this point, I don't even notice it anymore because it's been my wallpaper for so long. But this just goes to show how long I've been thinking about trying to reduce my YouTube and Reddit consumption. And I think at this point, we all know how dangerous the internet and social media is, how they are designed to hijack our primitive brains and really just cause tons of addictions. I made a video about this last year. And so you can tell that this is like a recurring theme for me. But this time, I really feel strongly that I want to get this done and be able to succeed. So of course, as always, to get some motivation before this, I opened up a bunch of YouTube videos. I sometimes get addicted to watching YouTube videos that say how I can stop being addicted. Here's one, Addicted to YouTube, Watch This, by Andrew Kirby, one of my favorite YouTubers.
So in this video, we're going to go through exactly how you can beat your addiction to YouTube instantly. If you follow what I'm going to say, you'll be able to get rid of that addiction that's been plaguing you, no matter how long it's been with you. Whether you've been watching YouTube every single day as a habit for years of your life, what you're about to learn will instantly cure your YouTube addiction.
He's so convincing.
Now, how do I know this works?
He's so
for me,
passionate.
for maybe 5 years of my life, every single day when I got back from school, maybe at 3 or 4 o'clock, I'd watch YouTube. In a week's time, you could die. And that could be the end of your life. Think of all the people that thought they were going to be driving home like a normal day. They ended up crashing in a car crash and they died.
All right, so in that video, he really goes over Memento. Well, he has a 3-step approach to quitting YouTube. One is to find a good replacement where, you know, you're gonna have something to fill up the free time that you're gonna have from quitting YouTube and Reddit, and you're gonna have plenty of it. Trust me, at least that's the reason we're quitting it. Number 2 is meditating and focusing on training our brain and our willpower muscle to really widen the gap, is how he says it, in terms of giving your brain the time to block yourself from doing bad behaviors. And number 3, he says to get some kind of emotion in order to achieve your goal of quitting YouTube or Reddit. So Memento Mori is one of the Stoic philosophies that I've learned about the past year. And that was that whole part he was talking about thinking about your own death. And if you were to die in the next week or so, would you have wanted to spend the last few days just like browsing on YouTube 5 hours a day? One of the other methods he goes over is the 5-second rule. And then this other one where he talks about like this video game where, you know, there's always like a shadow character in front of you, like in racing games, and you have to try and beat that character. And so you have to imagine your own life like that. Now, if you start watching YouTube, procrastinating, doing stuff like that, then that shadow character is going to get ahead of you. So I like that he had that little video game analogy there. So let's take a look at some of the Reddit posts that I was reading. And all of these are just so relatable. I mean, this guy, heavy YouTube user, brushing his teeth with YouTube, eating breakfast with YouTube, commuting to work with YouTube. I could even be addicted to watching how to quit addiction videos. So he talks about how he quit. He talks about the different feelings he had after each day of quitting. And he just talked about how much more time he had and that how real life seemed to be brighter after quitting. Working seems less boring. There's less meaningless anxieties. Because I don't need to find a proper video to walk with me, to eat with me, to brush with me, a large amount of decision-making energy and time for these stupid behaviors is saved. That is so relatable for me because a lot of times we want to find like the optimal video for me, like for the next 5 minutes. I need to get the best video so I can like make the most of my time. But all of this process is a complete waste of your time and energy. And then this particular line that a lot of people really liked in the comments is, I really know that most information online cannot change my life. Only action does. And so this is quoted in the first comment. This is the most powerful sentence in the whole reading. I think what you found what no surf is for. Stop consuming, start creating. So this was a motivational post for me. All right, this second one has 2,000 upvotes. Get the F off YouTube. Seriously, it's not worth your time anymore. This guy basically went on like a stream of consciousness, like ranting about how YouTube had like been so detrimental to his life, and it just really resonated with people. This is applicable to most, if not all, forms of media. They're engineered to hold your attention, activating those cheap injections of dopamine that afterwards leave you feeling unfulfilled. All right, that's basically it. I mean, there's a bunch of more Reddit posts that I was reading, but now I'm reading them and I'm like, why am I still reading this? I should just do it. And so there's going to be a few steps that I'm going to do. So first thing is I'm going to remove YouTube from my phone. One of the big things is I was like, oh, YouTube on my phone, it's so good because it gives me updates and notifications so I can respond to people right away. And there's just no point of having it on my phone for me. If I want to use YouTube, I should use it only when I'm like on a desktop computer and only when I have a specific intention to it. I don't need to respond to comments like immediately, even though I love to do that. And so step number one is, again, I'm just going to have to delete this off of my phone. And so I will delete this app and remove YouTube from my phone. And there, it's gone from my phone. So hopefully that's step number one. Step number two is I'm going to have to go back on my browser, and I have this extension called Distraction-Free YouTube. I have this extension, I've just had it off for a long time, but Distraction-Free YouTube, it removes all the suggested videos and recommended videos. It only leaves the search bar and your subscriptions. So this should be another thing that I should have on at all times. And finally, the last thing is I had to replace this free time I have on YouTube with something else. And so what I'm motivated to do is to study more, to become more knowledgeable as a physician. And then two, to spread that knowledge more by making content, videos, guides, stuff like that. And that's my goal with, freeing up this time. Also, I want to do a little bit more reading too, just for like casual, relaxing reading as well. I feel like I want to free my mind up and not have so much anxiety and not feel so busy all the time because I'm just using all my time on YouTube. I mean, I totally feel like when I was back in college and I hadn't gotten addicted to all these internet things before, I just had so much free time. And I was able to fill it with things I really genuinely loved doing, and I was able to get so good at the things I enjoyed. So that's something I definitely want to get back into. I really hope that this time I can really see an uptick in my productivity in terms of making videos and stuff again, and hope you guys will notice that, and hopefully you guys enjoy that process as well. And if you guys are struggling with this as well, I would love to hear your guys' experience with addiction to social media or to YouTube, anything like that. And also, if you have any tips that or strategies that worked well for you in terms of quitting. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see how this goes.